The story of Arthur Ashe's activism. Arthur Ashe was a true trailblazer, not only a Grand Slam-winning tennis player, but also a civil rights activist and humanitarian who left an indelible mark on the world. He rose to prominence during a tumultuous time in American history, when struggles for racial equality and social justice were at their peak. But Ashe didn't just talk the talk, he walked the walk too. Using his gifts, he would bring together people from all walks of life. Crowds gathered to see him model sporting excellence. But more than that, his platform as a professional athlete helped him to create a profound ripple effect of positive changes throughout society which would outlive him and which would continue to be felt long into the future. In this video, we'll explore Ashe's journey from young tennis prodigy to global icon of activism, and look at how his legacy continues to inspire us today. Arthur Ashe was one of the most influential athletes of the 20th century, known not only for his tennis prowess, but also for his unwavering commitment to equal rights. Born and raised in Richmond, Virginia in 1943, during a time of segregation and discrimination, Ashe became an unlikely champion of civil rights and equality. He was not only an advocate for racial integration in tennis, but also an outspoken critic of the Vietnam War and a supporter of various humanitarian causes. Ashe began playing tennis at an early age and quickly rose to prominence as a gifted athlete. He won several major tournaments, including the U.S. Open in 1968, and became the first African-American player to represent the United States in the Davis Cup. However, Ashe was more than just a tennis player. He was a trailblazer who spoke up for those with no voice, that is to say, the marginalized within society. He challenged the status quo and paved the way for future generations of athletes and activists. He used his fame and influence to promote racial integration in tennis. He advocated for education and HIV/AIDS awareness, and he spoke out against injustice in all its forms. Ashe's activism was deeply rooted in the civil rights movements of the 1960s and 1970s, which was a period marked by widespread protests and eruptions of social upheaval throughout the United States. During this time, African Americans and other marginalized communities fought for equal rights and an end to systemic racism and discrimination. Ashe was an active participant in this struggle, using his platform as a tennis player to draw attention to issues of social justice. He supported Muhammad Ali's decision to refuse the draft during the Vietnam War, spoke out against apartheid in South Africa, and advocated for the desegregation of tennis clubs and tournaments. Ashe's legacy as an athlete and activist continues to inspire people around the world to stand up for what they believe in and fight for a more just and equitable society. Growing up in the racially divided city of Richmond, Ashe experienced firsthand the injustices and inequalities that plagued his community in Virginia. Despite these challenges, Ashe was a gifted student and athlete who excelled both on and off the tennis court. His parents encouraged him to pursue his passions and instilled within him a strong sense of responsibility and social conscience. These values would shape Ashe's life and career in years to come, both as an athlete and as an activist. Ashe's early interest in tennis was sparked by his parents, who played the sport recreationally. He began playing at a local park and quickly showed promise as a young player. Despite facing racial barriers and limited opportunities for African American tennis players, Ashe persevered and continued to hone his skills. He eventually earned a scholarship to the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, where he became a standout player and helped his team to win 2 national championships. After college, Ashe turned professional and continued his ascent up the men's professional tennis rankings. One of Ashe's most notable achievements as a tennis player was his victory at the 1968 U.S. Open, at which he became the first African-American man to win this, or indeed any, Grand Slam title. The win was a watershed moment in the sport, breaking down barriers and paving the way for other players of color. Ashe's success on the court was not limited to the U.S. Open. He also won several other major tournaments, including the Australian Open and Wimbledon. Despite his numerous accomplishments as a player, Ashe's legacy extends far beyond the tennis court, as he used his platform to champion social causes and advocate for change. Ashe's experiences as a black man in America shaped his social and political consciousness, and he became a vocal advocate for civil rights and social justice. Growing up in a segregated society, Ashe was acutely aware of the racial inequalities that pervaded every aspect of life. He witnessed the injustices faced by African Americans on a daily basis, and these experiences shaped his worldview and commitment to activism. As a prominent athlete, Ashe used his platform to speak out against racial discrimination and to advocate for change. We mentioned earlier that Ashe was a strong supporter of Muhammad Ali's decision to refuse the draft during the Vietnam War. Like Ali, Ashe was a conscientious objector who opposed the war and believed that it was unjust and immoral. President Lyndon Johnson even admitted famously on tape lying to the American people when he said that Vietnam attacked the USA. He said, "For all I knew, they were shooting at whales that night. It is always the leaders who create every war." Even Louis XIV said on his deathbed, "I have been too fond of war." Arthur Ashe understood these matters implicitly and spoke out against the draft. In doing so, he supported Muhammad Ali's decision, even as it brought him intense scrutiny and criticism from mainstream media outlets and other athletes. Ashe's support for Ali was rooted in his belief in the power of individual conscience, his refusal to kill innocent people at the behest of governments, and his deeply embedded conviction regarding the importance of standing up for one's beliefs, even in the face of opposition. In September 1988, Ashe was hospitalized after experiencing paralysis in his right arm. After undergoing exploratory brain surgery and a number of tests, doctors discovered that he had toxoplasmosis, a parasitic disease that is commonly found in people infected with HIV. A subsequent test later revealed that he was HIV positive. Ashe and his doctors believed he contracted the virus from blood transfusions he had received due to blood loss resulting from his second heart surgery. He and his wife decided to keep his illness private for the sake of their daughter, who was then 2 years old. In 1988, Ashe published a 3-volume book titled A Hard Road to Glory, A History of the African American Athlete, after working with a team of researchers for nearly 6 years. Ashe stated that the book was more important than any tennis titles. In 1992, a friend of Ashe who worked for USA Today heard that he was ill and called him to confirm the story. Ashe decided to preempt USA Today's plans to publish the story about his illness, and, on April 8, 1992, publicly announced he had contracted HIV. He blamed USA Today for forcing him to go public with the news, but also stated that he was relieved that he no longer had to lie about his illness. After the announcement, hundreds of readers called or wrote letters to USA Today criticizing their choice to run the story about Ashe that forced him to publicize his illness. Ashe's involvement in the civil rights movement led him to become an advocate for other causes, including education and HIV/AIDS awareness. He believed that education was the key to unlocking opportunities for marginalized communities and worked tirelessly to promote access to education for all. Ashe spoke out about AIDS at a time when it was still highly stigmatized. His advocacy and activism on these issues helped to raise awareness and promote change. Ashe's activism in tennis was instrumental in breaking down racial barriers and promoting diversity and inclusion in the sport. He was a vocal advocate for the desegregation of tennis clubs and tournaments, calling attention to the injustices faced by African American players and working to promote change. His efforts helped to pave the way for greater representation of marginalized communities in tennis and inspired future generations of players to pursue their dreams on the court. In addition to his advocacy for racial justice in tennis, Ashe founded the National Junior Tennis League to promote the sport among underprivileged youth. He believed that tennis had the power to change lives and worked tirelessly to provide opportunities for young people to learn and play the game. The NJTL has since grown into a nationwide organization that provides tennis and education programs to thousands of children each year, and Ashe's legacy in this area continues to inspire and motivate. Ashe's role in the establishment of the Association of Tennis Professionals, ATP, was also significant. The ATP gave players more control over their own careers and helped to establish tennis as a truly global sport. Ashe was a key figure in the founding of the organization and served as its first president. His leadership and vision helped to shape the future of tennis and laid the foundation for the professional sport that we know today. Arthur Ashe's legacy is one of remarkable contributions to both the civil rights movement and tennis. As an activist, he tirelessly fought against racial injustice and discrimination, advocating for desegregation and working to promote diversity and inclusion. His impact on the sport of tennis was also significant, both on and off the court, as he inspired generations of players and helped to shape the game into what it is today. Ashe's impact on future generations of athletes and activists cannot be overstated. His leadership and advocacy continue to inspire and motivate people around the world to fight for social justice and equality. His legacy has been passed down through the Arthur Ashe Youth Tennis and Education Program, which continues to promote tennis and education for underserved youth, and through the Arthur Ashe Institute for Urban Health, which works to address health disparities in communities of color. The Arthur Ashe Courage Award is presented annually at the ESPY Awards to honor individuals who display courage in the face of adversity. The award was created to honor Ashe's valiant legacy and to recognize those who follow in his footsteps. Recipients of the award have included athletes, coaches, and other public figures who have used their platform to speak out against injustice and to promote positive change. The award serves as a reminder of Ashe's courage and vision, and of the power that one person can have to make a difference in the world. Arthur Ashe was not just a legendary tennis player, but also a social and political activist who fought for justice and equality. While his life may have been cut short by illness, its impact continues to be felt even today. His legacy continues to inspire generations of athletes and activists who are committed to making a positive impact on the world. Ashe's advocacy for civil rights, education, and AIDS awareness and philanthropic endeavors paved the way for future leaders to follow in his footsteps. We hope this video has shed light on Ashe's incredible life and legacy. We'd love to hear from you in the comments section about what you found most inspiring about Arthur's story and how you plan to carry his legacy forward. Here are 2 more videos for you to enjoy. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and family to spread awareness of Arthur Ashe's incredible contributions to both sports and social justice. Thank you for watching.